Jaclyn Torrey, formerly Jaclyn Hill, hasn't talked about the closing of the brands that she was involved in very much lately at all. Of course, that includes Jaclyn Cosmetics, her loungewear brand called Cozy, and her jewelry brand that was called Jaclyn Roxanne. That all changed this past week when she posted this to her Instagram. The text on the screen says, POV, you closed down your businesses and moved across the country with the love of your life. And then the caption reads, and this is where her fans really lost it, okay, now let's make some babies. And I just want to say first, congratulations to Jaclyn on the change of direction in her life. I know that she gave up alcohol, and that was something that she's very proud of and has seen a really big change in just her health in general. She seems so happy with her husband, Jordan. She seems to be absolutely thriving in her new home, and I'm very happy for her. The planning of having a baby is so incredibly exciting. Today, we're not going to focus on the post that Jaclyn made or even the text on the screen or the caption. We're going to focus on what I thought was newsworthy for this show, and that's what was happening in the comments next to the post. It's very interesting, both the comments from Jaclyn's fans and also how Jaclyn was responding with answers to their questions. Very interesting. We are going to get into all the details of that. Next, we'll talk a little bit about the problem with doctors on the internet. That's not something I ever thought that I would say, is that doctors are having issues on the internet, but they really are, because some doctors are speaking out in areas that are not their specialty, and they are using that doctor name in order to give them credibility in a field where they're absolutely not trained. And the American Academy of Dermatology wants to take a strong stance on that. They actually did publish a stance on that back in 2018, but they're realizing that that stance needs to be updated. We'll talk about what dermatologists are saying that need to be added to this stance, and what dermatologists think about all of the misinformation being spread on the internet about our skin's health. In shocking news to me, Makeup by Mario is considering selling his brand, which blows my mind. I know that that's the thing that happens. Sometimes you make a brand and then you want to sell it, but this particular one is hitting a little different for me. I have the details on what we know about that situation. There's a new lawsuit against Johnson & Johnson, again, for their talc that people are claiming was contaminated with asbestos and either caused cancer or will potentially cause cancer in the future. I'm actually extremely interested in seeing whether this one goes through. I honestly really hope that it does. And of course, it wouldn't be a What's Up in Makeup if we didn't talk another celebrity cosmetic launch. That's coming as well, but we're ending this one with a movie that I never thought that I would talk about on What's Up in Makeup, and it's the movie Titanic. Kate Winslet did an interview with Vanity Fair talking about that famous scene, you know, the one where they're up on the front of the ship and, I'm flying, Jack, I'm flying. That scene, there's a makeup-related story there. Cannot wait to share with you. It's so adorable. Hang tight. We're getting into it right now. Hello, my friend. Welcome back to What's Up in Makeup, where we talk about everything that happened across the makeup industry all in one place. I have done all the searching for you. I have done all of the digging so that you don't have to, and we can just relax and talk about it and discuss together. And I have an interesting story this week that I haven't seen anybody else talk about, and it has to do with Jaclyn Hill. Now, you may, if you're new to the channel, because I have lots of new people joining the channel. Hi, I'm Jen. Nice to see you. Nice to meet you. Thanks for being here. We dug really deep. I guess it started in January of 2023 with the Forma Brands bankruptcy. And that was really relevant in that we found out that Forma Brands declared bankruptcy. If you're not familiar with them, they own Morphe 2. They owned Jaclyn Cosmetics. They owned a company called Playa Hair Care that ended up closing down, a vitamin brand called Such Good Everything. They were affiliated. They had licensing deals with REM Beauty by Ariana Grande, as well as Charlie D'Amelio's Born Dreamer fragrance. I mean, they had their hands in a lot of different things. And when they declared bankruptcy, it was a big deal because it affected all of these companies that were very social-facing companies. But the problem with it in the big media picture is that we weren't really getting the full story. So what we did here on What's Up in Makeup is I dug really deep into the bankruptcy filings. Literally every week, I am combing through these bankruptcy filings. I'm Googling, I'm asking people, I'm trying to figure out what all of this means, and then I would pull that together and bring it to you. And through that, we learned a lot about Morphe and about Jaclyn Cosmetics and things that happened with Jaclyn Cosmetics back with the hairy lipsticks that we didn't know. I mean, it was a new discovery every single week, and it was absolutely fascinating. I really enjoyed going through all of that with you. So if you're new here, all you need to know right now is that Forma Brands owned Jaclyn Cosmetics outright. Jaclyn Hill did not own physically any part of Jaclyn Cosmetics. She did not have a leadership role in her brand. She was never listed as a CEO or even a brand president. She was listed as a licensor and a collaborator for the brand. She got paid in royalties and commissions, not because she owned the company. We found all of this out because of those legal filings, but Jaclyn insisted that this was her company and that she was the CEO and that this was a family-owned business, which none of that ended up being true. And now, in 2024, it's coming back to bite her. But before we get into that piece, let's just talk about what's happening next to this post that Jaclyn put up last week. So really what shocked me about this post was how many posts of people saying that they didn't realize that Jaclyn had closed her brands. There's this one here by someone named Evelyn. She says, which businesses did she close? And then there's another post by someone named Jackie who says, I just found out that Jaclyn Cosmetics filed for bankruptcy. That's so sad. I literally loved her brand so much. I need it. And then someone named Julieta asks, so I won't be able to buy any makeup from you? For a timeline, Jaclyn Cosmetics closed down at the very end of 2023. So that's almost 6 months ago. Jaclyn Roxanne and Cozy closed down 10 months ago. So almost a year ago. And her fans, her followers, a lot of them didn't even notice. And I don't know what that means. I don't know in the end what that really means. I'm sure it's different for different people, but I just found that very odd. So what happened is that because people had questions, Jaclyn started answering some of the questions. So to the first question where Jaclyn was asked, which business did she close? Jaclyn responded with all of them, which is of course accurate. But the one that really prompted me to talk about this was the answer that she gave to the question about Jaclyn Cosmetics declaring bankruptcy. This is what Jaclyn said. Just to be clear, Jaclyn Cosmetics did not file for bankruptcy. I know, it's confusing. My partners did. My brand was not in debt and actually doing very well. It was just a mess internally and my mental health couldn't handle it anymore. Like we mentioned, Jaclyn Cosmetics was owned by Forma Brands. Jaclyn Hill did not own any of it. She earned commissions similar to a collaboration. As a big disclaimer, I am not a lawyer, so I am just going to put the court document on the screen for you to look at and see what you see. And lawyers, please feel free to weigh in on this. Here's the document. The entity officially filing for bankruptcy is FB Debt Financing Guarantor LLC, where FB stands for Forma Brands. Another name listed for the same debtor is Morphe Debt Financing Guarantor LLC, and the website address is www.formabrands.com. So in what Jaclyn is saying, she may be technically correct until you look a little further into that document. Here's page 5 of that same document where it says pending bankruptcy cases filed by the debtor and affiliates of the debtor. And Jaclyn Cosmetics is listed as one of those pending bankruptcy cases. Jaclyn Cosmetics, to my knowledge of the definition of what affiliate of the debtor means, is an affiliate of the debtor. I will put that definition on the screen for you so you can read it. So to plug brands into this title, it would say pending bankruptcy cases by Forma Brands and Morphe, Jaclyn Cosmetics, and then of course all the rest. So I see where she's coming from in that Forma Brands filed the bankruptcy. So did Jaclyn Cosmetics file the paperwork? Not technically, but they are co-filers. So did Jaclyn Cosmetics file for bankruptcy? Are we splitting hairs here? Does it even really matter? Probably not. But it's my interpretation as a non-lawyer is that yes, Jaclyn Cosmetics did file for bankruptcy. Her next claim that Jaclyn Cosmetics was not in debt, actually, when I looked into this, I kind of giggled a little bit because it's so ridiculous. It is 100% not true that Jaclyn Cosmetics wasn't in debt, because Jaclyn Cosmetics was in debt to Jaclyn herself. They owed her money. In the very beginning of the bankruptcy, Jaclyn filed herself a claim for $2 million that Jaclyn Cosmetics owed her. That ended up shaking out as things went on, where Forma Brands had this list of these unsecured creditors where they put into their documents that they owed Jaclyn a little over $1 million. So either way, whether it was $2 million, $1 million, Jaclyn Cosmetics was in debt to Jaclyn herself. So therefore, Jaclyn saying that Jaclyn Cosmetics was not in debt when Jaclyn Cosmetics was in debt to her is kind of ridiculous to me. It's kind of silly because they weren't just in debt to Jaclyn, they were in debt to a lot of different entities. But one thing that is very, very important to recognize in all of this is that Jaclyn wasn't in charge of these finances. None of this seems to be Jaclyn's fault. Remember, she wasn't in charge of anything. She was just earning the commissions. So the number that I'm about to share of how much debt Jaclyn Cosmetics was actually in, please put into your mind that I do not believe that this was Jaclyn's fault. Here's the number. It says specifically, Jaclyn Cosmetics' debt listed the total money owed for non-priority unsecured claims was over $19 million. So we can definitively say that when Jaclyn Cosmetics went into the bankruptcy, they were very much in debt. Probably not due to any fault of Jaclyn. Actually, it was the opposite. Jaclyn was probably doing her best to get them out of any financial difficulties, and the person who was running the finances did a terrible job. In fact, what I'm about to show you may even reinforce that Jaclyn was doing everything she possibly could to make sure that Jaclyn Cosmetics was doing well financially, and something was happening on the Forma end that was taking all of that money that Jaclyn was working to earn for the brand. And that goes into Jaclyn's next claim, that Jaclyn Cosmetics was doing very well. And I've had a lot of comments asking, how successful was Jaclyn Cosmetics? We know exactly how successful they were because we have the document with the financial information on it. So in 2020, Jaclyn Cosmetics' gross revenue was $307,000. Not too shabby, not fantastic, but pretty good. But it skyrocketed to $14.4 million in 2021. And then in 2022, sales were still very respectable, but dropped a bit to $9.8 million for that year. So Jaclyn saying that Jaclyn Cosmetics was successful was not an understatement. To me, I mean, it is a subjective thing, but to me, that sounds very successful. But in the timeline, financially, this is where things really change for Jaclyn Cosmetics. So the bankruptcy was filed in January of 2023. This is coming off a $9.8 million year in 2022. The monthly operating report that was filed in February of 2023 said that the ending equity net worth of Jaclyn Cosmetics was negative $387,211. The gross income of sales for that month, remember this is just 1 month of February, and net returns and allowances was $142,784. But if you deduct the cost of the goods, the selling expenses, administrative expenses, all that stuff for that month, in February of 2023, Jaclyn Cosmetics was at an $87,000 loss. Because she put herself up in this grand position as CEO, as the owner of the company, then she's putting herself up as the one responsible for this financial loss. When, from what I'm seeing, she had absolutely nothing to do with it, but she had to take that hit because of how she had lied and positioned herself. There is one more piece to add to this, and it has to do with what happened in 2023 when Forma Brands came out publicly talking about their priorities moving forward. Forma Brands was acquired by some of their lenders out of bankruptcy. Basically, the lenders were owed so much money that they were going to be in the hole for so much money that they basically traded off some of the debt for purchasing Forma Brands and all of the companies underneath Forma Brands. And in that, those new owners came out with a statement saying their priorities, and their priorities specifically were Morphe and Morphe 2, not Jaclyn Cosmetics. And knowing that these are money people, and knowing that these people are trying to get as much of their money back out of this company that is struggling that they can, if Jaclyn Cosmetics was a powerhouse, was thriving, was doing really well, and they thought they could get their money from it, Jaclyn Cosmetics would have been listed in that article. And the evidence that they didn't invest in Jaclyn Cosmetics was the fact that it closed in December of 2023. The last part of the comment where Jaclyn says it was just a mess internally and my mental health couldn't handle it anymore. I can only imagine how stressful that situation was. I mean, when she started Jaclyn Cosmetics, she started it with her friend, Linda Towell, who was the founder and the main person, her and her brother, running Morphe. And they had made a shit ton of money for Morphe. And I'm sure the projection for Jaclyn Cosmetics was ridiculous because of how much she earned just on collaborations. Imagine what she could do with a brand. And it was going so well for a couple of years. So I can only imagine how stressful it was for Jaclyn to see her brand imploding and there's nothing she can do about it. And then on top of that, because she lied about how important she was in the company, she then had to take the losses that weren't her fault as her own. And because she probably doesn't want to make a whole video and she knows that some people just won't listen to the whole thing and it's going to be a long conversation for not much benefit, there's no real reason for Jaclyn to try to explain all of this to her audience. And I don't know legally how much Jaclyn can explain of what happened behind the scenes in the bankruptcy. So I can understand why she's just outright lying about things because it's faster and easier than saying, well, yeah, I didn't own it. Someone else made these terrible financial decisions and I wasn't responsible for those, because then she would have to backtrack and explain that she wasn't ever the CEO or the owner of her cosmetic brand. And then that would turn into a whole big thing. So it's just easier just to keep lying. So I get it. I get it. But just so you know, because I want you to know what really happened, that's what really happened. And we know that because there's legal documents showing that that's what really happened. One thing that is 100% for sure is that her fans are very excited about the new direction that she's going in. She, like I said in the beginning, she seems very happy. They really like her new content. One comment on last week's post says, to see the Jaclyn you are now compared to the Jaclyn you were 10 years ago warms my heart. You are always smiling now. You look good. Even your content screams, life is so good. I'm so happy for you. To which Jaclyn responded, this is the best compliment I could receive. So my question now, and what I'm wondering is, will Jaclyn ever come out with another brand again? I'm wondering. Only time will tell. But if she does come out with another brand, I can pretty much guarantee you she's going to do things a lot differently. We have a problem on social media, and the problem is with doctors. And that's something I never thought that I would say, like ever. Because, you know, we've got this vision in our mind of a doctor and that a doctor is going to have a level of credibility. But that in itself is the problem here. For example, in the April 28th What's Up in Makeup episode, we talked about how Dr. Doris Dalton, who is a chiropractor and not medically trained, it's not a medical degree, was using that doctor title in order to spread misinformation about sunscreen use. Here's the clip that they put up on social media.
Which I know is controversial. I don't wear sunscreen. And
I'm with her.
I'm with her too.
I'm 110% with her. We're not saying go out and fry yourself unprotected. Let's not get it twisted. But it's important to understand that slathering yourself in these benzenes every single day, never getting any vitamin D is just not good for you.
It's not good for you.
We live in a world where everything, unfortunately, is kind of toxic. So you have to kind of pick and choose what's going to work for you. And I think this is such a hot topic, which I find to be so interesting. It is like a religion for some people.
It's so
and it doesn't have to be. It's
it doesn't have to be.
What works for you works for you. What works for me, what works for Kristen.
That's right.
Let people live. Do what works for you.
Exactly.
Modulate your toxin load, however works for you. And just take a chill pill.
In that video, of course, Doris isn't talking very much. It's mostly Lee, who used to work for Tarte and now works for Dalton.
Hey guys, it's Lee from Tarte Cosmetics, and I could not be more excited to tell you guys about our brand new Shape Tape Contouring Concealer. It does come in 6 shades, so there's a shade for almost every skin tone.
But in the clip, Doris is clearly agreeing with what Lee is saying. But Dalton doubled down on the misinformation they were spreading. I'm just going to play you a little clip from that What's Up in Makeup episode so you can hear exactly what happened. It was one person that shared their personal loss of a family member due to melanoma, and Dalton responded with this. We're so sorry for your loss, Doll. We're encouraging choice and for people to modulate their toxin loads according to what works for them. Doris is a doctor, and this is her opinion, and we do recommend mineral-based sunscreens if you are going to choose to wear it. As always, we encourage you to do what works for you. It's important to note here that Dr. Dalton is a chiropractor. She's not a skincare specialist. You cannot use this person as a doctor as a crutch for your weak ass arguments. Unfortunately, Dr. Dalton is one of many doctors on social media now growing their platform by spreading misinformation using that doctor title to lend them credibility in an area that they are not trained in. Back in 2018, the American Academy of Dermatology, or the AAD, issued a position statement on medical professionalism in the use of social media, with focuses on dermatologists maintaining patient privacy, suggesting reliable sources of information, and disclosing all financial relationships when creating sources. But since 2018, evidence shows that this is not enough. There is an internal working group over at AAD to reevaluate the 2018 statement and update it based on what has happened since then. And what has happened is a lot. When asked about the working group and the update by the publication Beauty Independent, the AAD shared the direction by giving a statement to Beauty Independent, and this is what they said. With more and more patients turning to social media for healthcare information, it's becoming increasingly important for dermatologists to establish a social media presence so they can combat misinformation shared by non-dermatologist influencers and provide a reliable and credible source of information. We encourage members to include their credentials in their social media bio. In addition, we advise discretion when recommending products and accepting paid partnerships with brands. Above all, the AAD aims to empower its members to effectively use their voice on social media as the leading experts in the skin, hair, and nails. So how bad is this misinformation? We actually have some data on that. So there was a cross-sectional study done in 2021, published in the International Journal of Dermatology, that looked at 285 pieces of dermatology content shared on social networks with keywords like acne, skin cancer, melanoma, and rosacea. So the study found that 45% of the information was imprecise, which I feel like is the accurate term for it was not right. It was imprecise. Like maybe it had hints that it was the right thing, but it was not right. It was not right. So 45%. 20% was confusing. And then only 35% of it was precise. Another analysis was done in 2023 by JMIR Dermatology, and it revealed that 40% of the 94 dermatologists with profiles had sponsored posts. Now, we know that sponsored posts doesn't mean that the person is being dishonest, but it also means that they could be being dishonest, that they could be paid off by these companies in order to give recommendations that aren't in the customer's best interest. Beauty Independent took this a bit further, and that's why I love this publication. They actually went and asked 15 dermatologists about the public opinion of the AAD. And they asked them, what do you think? What do you think should be included in this new statement? And there were some general consensus thoughts between all 15 professionals. There were some cosmetic chemists in here as well, and they seemed mostly concerned about transparency and disclosure. They also said that they want doctors to make sure that if they're sponsored, that they're clearly marking their ads and disclosing any financial relationships with companies, including affiliate links. They also stressed the importance of being accurate and using evidence-based information, citing specific scientifically backed content, as well as correcting inaccuracies. Another important addition was by Laura Lamfour. She is a cosmetic chemist and the founder of Lamfour Beauty. She said, quote, "Just as I would never diagnose a person with a skin condition or disease, even if they felt confident about it, I believe social media dermatologists should, at a minimum, consult with a cosmetic chemist to ensure the accuracy of their statement." So more communication when cosmetic chemists talk about dermatology or when dermatologists talk about cosmetic chemistry. It's not the exact same field. So making sure that that cross-specialty information is accurate before posting it. Though the article doesn't directly address the problems with a chiropractor giving advice on sunscreen, they do talk about making sure to present credentials accurately. This was kind of sad, but also accurate. Dr. Gita Yadiv, she is a dermatologist and founder at Fast Dermatology, said she is not hopeful about the updated code of ethics. She commented, quote, "The truth is that I'm not sure that creating a specific code of ethics for social media will make a difference. It's a horrible thing to say, but it's true. If providers are already eschewing the principles of the oath they swore to uphold upon graduating from medical school, then creating a new code of ethics isn't going to convince them otherwise. Using common sense and a finely tuned moral compass should be the standard, but it won't be for every provider." So my question to you is, what do you think? Who are your favorite doctors that you follow on social media that you feel like give good recommendations? I would love to know your thoughts in the comments below. What would Makeup by Mario be without Mario? Because it's Makeup by Mario. Without Mario, it's not by Mario anymore. What is happening? So I get it. I get that one of the things that people want to do when they start a company is that they want to eventually sell it one day. But that is just setting wrong with my neurodivergent brain. It just doesn't make sense, and it's making me irritated. Like, I get, like, Bobbi Brown Cosmetics are not associated with Bobbi Brown anymore. Like, I'm good with that. My brain understands that, but something is sitting extra wrong with me with Makeup by Mario potentially being sold. Here are the details on it. In 2023, after an estimated valuation of the brand came through with at more than $200 million, Mario got a $40 million minority investment to help the brand expand globally. The brand sales are thought to have been in the region of $225 million in 2023, and it's believed to be on the course to hit sales of $300 million this year. Per the Business of Beauty, the brand is said to be mulling sale during the second half of this year. I'd like to ask a question on this story too. Am I overthinking this? Because I have a feeling that I'm overthinking it, but something just seems wrong. Like, it's Makeup by Mario that's no longer by Mario. I have issues with that. I mean, good for him, get your bag, but that's not right. It's just not right. There is another Johnson & Johnson talc lawsuit hitting the news this week, but this one is a little bit different, and I really, really hope this one goes through. The proposed class action filed this week in the U.S. District Court for the District of New Jersey is the first to seek testing for female U.S. talc users. The class action is meant to cover Johnson's baby powder and or shower-to-shower product users from between 1960 and the present, who use the powders for genital application for more than 4 years. Though one of the plaintiffs does not have cancer, she feels she is at risk of developing the disease as a result of her exposure to Johnson & Johnson products and is therefore in need of medical monitoring. Another person that is a plaintiff, she has fallopian tube cancer, which she alleges was caused by the genital application of Johnson & Johnson talc between 2012 and 2023. Though Johnson & Johnson removed the talc from their products in 2020, legally, they say that the talc is safe and doesn't contain asbestos and does not cause cancer. But other lawsuits claimed otherwise, directly presenting evidence that the Johnson & Johnson powder did contain asbestos because they had it scientifically tested and had it found that it did have asbestos in it. So there's that too. I'm very curious how this one is going to play out and whether the judge will find in favor of Johnson & Johnson or the plaintiffs on this. I personally would love to see free screenings for people that feel like they're at risk because of these products. I don't feel like that's too much to ask. That's just me. Are you ready for the 11th celebrity cosmetic line of 2024? This time it is actor Mike Colter. He starred in the Netflix series Luke Cage from 2016 to 2018. He and his wife have launched a hair care range for children with multi-ethnic heritage called Niles and Chaz. In the line are 4 clean, vegan styling products made of 90% naturally derived ingredients. The brand's slogan is Hair I Am and aims to celebrate celebrate the beauty of mixed textured hair and multi-ethnic heritage and promote children's self-confidence and inclusivity. Like I mentioned, Mike started this brand with his wife. Her name is Iva Coulter, and she is a former entertainment executive, and it was named after their two children named Niles and Chaz. Styling products in the line include Tangles Schmangles. It is a vitamin-infused curl detangler which aims to hydrate hair and banish frizz. It's formulated with flaxseed oil, marshmallow extract, watermelon, banana, and okra. Curl Razor claims to revive curls and tame frizz using a blend of natural plant extracts, vitamins, butters, oils, and strengthening proteins. What the Frizz is a styling cream that works to define curls and boost hair growth with jojoba extract, shea butter, and marshmallow. And then there is a pre-shampoo treatment called Scalp Enhancer, and it claims to prevent scalp damage. It's said to be good for post-braids, twists, or locks to clean the scalp. Key ingredients in that one include muru, pumpkin, mango, and charcoal. Prices range for the products between $16 and $28. And finally, in our lighthearted story of the week, we're talking about one of my personal favorite movies, Titanic. And I know there are a lot of people that don't like the movie Titanic. I personally feel like, because watching the explosion of everybody going to go see it in the theater like 6 million times when it first came out, and then people would go see it, and it was like super overhyped, and people thought that it was going to be like this incredible movie with, you know, these impossible expectations, and then people saw it and they were like, yeah, it's just a movie. Well, yeah, it's just a movie. I think that's a lot of the reason why some people didn't like Titanic. I mean, of course, there could be other reasons. Maybe you don't like romance movies, or maybe you don't like movies that profit off of the deaths of thousands of people, or maybe just the door and the size of the door and the fact the door was absolutely big enough just still pisses you off. Okay, fine. There are lots of reasons not to like Titanic, but I love Titanic, so let me love it. I will continue to love it. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is that Kate Winslet did an interview with Vanity Fair talking about that scene. You know, the scene when they're on the boat and they go to the front and there's this beautiful lighting and they're standing there and they, you know, I'm flying, Jack, I'm flying. And do you have to do this like me? You have to, every time you go on a boat, you have to find the front of the boat and go, I'm flying, Jack, I'm flying. I know I do that. Jen, would you just stop? ADHD, turn it off. Discontinue. Stop. She did this interview where she's talking about that scene, and there's a makeup related detail that I did not know before. I'm just going to play the clip of Kate talking about it.
This was a section of the ship. It wasn't part of the actual whole ship set that we had. It was a little sort of sawn off bit. We had to climb up a ladder to get to it. I remember it was sort of hair and makeup couldn't reach us. Now, what you wouldn't know, because Leo looks completely natural, but he had to lie on sunbeds. There's a lot of fake tan makeup going on. So I have got hidden in here and here. I've got his makeup and brushes and sponge, and my makeup and brushes and sponge in the other side. And between takes, I was basically redoing our makeup. It's quite the romancer, isn't he? No wonder every young girl in the world wanted to be kissed by Leonardo DiCaprio. It was not all it's cracked up to be. So we kept doing this kiss, and I have a lot of pale makeup on. And I would have to do our makeup checks, me, on both of us, between takes. And I would end up looking as though I had been sucking a caramel chocolate bar after each take, because his makeup would come up on me. And he just looked like there was a bit missing from his face because there was this big pale bit from all my makeup getting onto him. Oh God, it was such a mess.
The things we didn't know about movie magic. Just so freaking cool. I love that story. I'm so thankful Kate told it. Absolutely love little details like this. And that, my friend, was What's Up in Makeup this week. I don't know what that was, but it was What's Up in Makeup this week. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And of course, thank you as always to the What's Up in Makeup Facebook hunters. Their names are scrolling below me. Thank you so much for all of your submissions this week. I appreciate you with my entire heart and soul. Our chat today will be at 10 a.m. Eastern time, like it normally is. We're going to be hanging out, talking about makeup. If you can join us, cool. If you can't, it's very easy to find on the replay. If you're subscribed, head over there. If you're not subscribed, you can go to the What's Up in Makeup live chat podcast in the description box, or head over to my channel page page and click on the live tab. You can find the live chats there. Thank you so much for watching What's in Makeup. I hope you enjoyed it. I particularly loved this episode today. I found all of the topics super fascinating. I hope you did too. If you did, do me a favor and just give a little quick thumbs up on that click button. I know it doesn't look like it's doing much. I promise you it is. It just is going to tell YouTube to share it with more people, so more people have the option of clicking on it if they would like to. And if you're not already subscribed, if you've watched a bunch of my videos, this is a great time to hit the subscribe button if you would like to. And if you would like to watch another video of mine, especially if you missed last week's episode of What's Been Makeup, YouTube should be recommending a couple videos for you over here. The bottom one is going to be last week's episode of Top News for What's Been Makeup. The top one, YouTube is actually going to pick for you based on the videos you've been watching recently, what video they think that from my catalog you're going to like the best. So that's going to be there for you. But if you do have to go, I completely get it. It is no problem at all. Thank you for hanging out as long as you did. And mad love to you, and I will see you in a video very, very soon.